Hey everybody, I'm sitting down today with Reenie McGrath. She is the owner of Ocean's Edge Salon and Spa in Surfside Beach, which is just south of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I am so excited to talk with her about everything to do with the salon and spa world. So let's get into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Learn how to start a business in your community with Launch Local podcast, full of know-how and inspiration from successful small business owners, including your host, Amber Artemis. Hi, hey Rainey. It's great to
Hey,
see you.
Amber, how's it going?
Good. Thanks so much for sitting down with me today.
Yeah,
Um,
it's great to be here.
so, Rainey, first of all, uh, how this is not your first business, correct? This is that you owned.
True, that is a true story. It's been a very long rodeo, I have to say. Yeah, I first opened up my original salon back in Pennsylvania in 1992, I think it was. And I owned a couple of salons up there over the course of maybe 17 years. And
Wow.
then
What
I,
was that salon called?
Shamo.
Shamo! Oh
Yeah,
my gosh.
yeah.
I I remember going there. I was a
Really?
customer. Yeah. I actually, true story, submitted myself to ritual torture right before my wedding at your salon. Yeah.
Okay. I
I
don't remember that. I don't know why. That's
I
crazy.
I had my legs waxed. You know,
Oh, okay.
I don't know why. It's the only time in my life I've ever done it. And usually when people are about to, get married, they think about waxing other areas, but
Right?
right? For me, I
You're
was
like,
like, I just don't want to shave for a month. I don't want to shave my legs. That would be just so luxurious. And so I did that for my wedding.
and was it all you dreamed it would be?
It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
I was like, why am I doing this? This really hurts.
Right? I waxed my legs for this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely better for, like, more isolated, targeted areas so you can get it over with quickly, like, there's a lot of real estate on the legs. It was like a 45-minute ordeal.
Yeah, and you're kind of tall. I mean, it probably wouldn't be as bad for me because I'm short, but
Yep, yeah, maybe a few inches spared.
well, over the course of years, waxing services have actually gotten a lot quicker and a lot better. So you
Oh,
may have to revisit it. And if you do revisit it, I would recommend getting hard wax because hard wax gives you a superior waxing service because it shrink wraps the hair, but it doesn't actually adhere to your skin.
oh,
So it's more comfortable and it's way less messy and way less sticky and it's, the next generation.
awesome. Yeah, you know all the things. We have a mutual friend who is a former hairdresser herself, right?
Yeah.
Sarah Brooke.
Yes.
And she's often, cited your expertise about all things beauty.
Oh, that's sweet.
So, yeah. So tell me, okay, let's go back. I really do want to get in the deep dive of how you started out in this industry because it's an important one. One of the goals of this podcast is to help people get businesses like yours off the ground. And, as like we think about the future and, what services might we need, that won't be able to be outsourced, like salon services have staying power, they're
Yes,
very important.
ma'am. They sure
Yeah.
do. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't imagine how we're gonna be AI'd out of the salon. Unless we get to the point where it's like Jetsons, when Jane would go into that machine and it would all, like, jazz her
Yeah.
up, and she looked like total hag, and then she's like, um, that hasn't happened yet, so we're hopeful that's not gonna happen to us, but, yeah, I never had any desire to be a hairdresser. I never cut anyone's hair. as a kid, I wasn't like cutting my own bangs. I wasn't cutting anybody's hair. It was not anything on my radar. And as I got into my young 20s, I was working in business and banking, and the 9 to 5 thing was like not not for me. And I started thinking, what could I do that wouldn't take too much time, that wouldn't take too much money, that I could do no matter where I lived, and that was artistic, and that I could apply to theater because that's something I love doing. And I thought I could be a hairdresser. And I went to beauty school. I still marvel at this. My beauty school was $4,000. I had a $4,000 education, and I have been working in this industry ever since. And I started beauty school, I think, in 1991. So, no, 1990. I started beauty school. So, I don't know, you do the math, 35 years.
Well, and I should have looked it up before. Here, let's do a quick look up here. Hey Siri, how much does an average beauty school education cost today?
Oh, yeah. It's more like 30 something $1,000 now.
Okay, well, let's just go with that. So, because she's not
Depending on
helpful
the
at
school
all.
you go to. Yeah, some of the academies are gonna be higher priced than others, but
Yeah, I think like when Sarah went, it was roughly around, I want to say like 15 or 16,000
that makes sense. Mhm.
inflation.
Yeah, but it's still a good value.
It
It really
is, it absolutely is, right? I mean, compared to a college education that also did that whole doubling and tripling over the same amount of time, that's probably 1 year of tuition at a 4-year college, and you're getting skills that like you said are portable and flexible. Like you've started businesses in 2 different states now.
Yes, yes, and that was an accident as well. I had no desire to open up another business because I sold my last salon in Pennsylvania in, I think it was 2008. And I moved to the beach. I was gonna learn how to surf, write my memoirs, and work 3 days a week and, whatever. And then, of course, opportunity knocks, and I can't let that door stay shut. I don't know why, I just can't do it. And so, I had this opportunity. I met a woman when I moved here. I searched around the area to see which salon I wanted to work at, and I found this really cute little salon right on the main street in Surfside Beach, which is where I ended up moving to. And one of my dreams when I moved here was that I could ride my bicycle or walk to work. And this place fit the bill because I found a place just, I don't know, a handful of blocks away from the salon originally. And so I thought this will be great. This is what I can do. I can work at Ocean's Edge and walk here, ride my bike, still have plenty of time to do my thing. But the woman who owned the salon, she had a 5-year plan and she was about 7 years into it. And she really was kind of over it. And she just wanted out. And she kept asking me. As a matter of fact, when I went in for the initial interview, the first thing she said was, "Do you want to buy the place?" Like, I'm like, "Not really. I don't even know anybody in the whole town. I don't have a client. I don't have a friend, a relative, nothing. So, no." But she kept after me and kept after me. And one day, finally, I just broke and I was like, all right, fine. I'll do it. So, and here I am 7 years later, and it's been one of the most extraordinary adventures that I've ever been on. Truly, it's been way beyond my wildest dreams.
So, I I I gather, that you not only bought a business, you bought the building, is that correct?
So initially, I just bought the business from the original owner, and that original business was located a couple of doors down from where we are right now. The building that we're in now came for sale in October of 2021, and I had the great fortune to get to buy this building. And it was nothing short of a kind of a miracle because I just kept saying, "The universe wants me to have this building," and my husband, God rest his soul, He was like, "Well, how about the bank? Did they want you to have it? Because you don't have enough money to buy that building." And I was like, "Yes, the bank wants me to have it too, the universe too. Everybody wants me to have it." And lo and behold, I'm having a meeting with the banker the one day, and I'm like, I'm pleading my case. I'm all passionate about it. And I said, "Listen," I was like, "if we sell our town to foreign investors who just want to stockpile the properties in our little town, we will no longer own this town, and we will just be the we will we'll be just paying rents to strangers who have nothing to do with our community, etc." And the banker literally said to me, he was like, "Maureen, the bank wants you to have this building." And I was like, "Yeah,
Yes.
I know they do." And they really made it happen. I worked with an amazing local bank, and I honestly, I still don't know how. I don't understand how it happened, but it happened. And we have this huge space. We jumped into I made settlement on the 15th of December, 2021. We started the reno in earnest on January 1st, 2022, and we moved into our new space on the 22nd of September, 2022. So it took about, like a good
A
9
year.
months for us to do it, but it was a massive renovation. This place was a dry cleaner. It was crazy, and it was a lot of work, and it was a lot of stress, and there were days when I didn't know what way to turn, and I was, like, super cracking up, but we got through it, and a lot of really wonderful people helped me get to the day we were opening, and it's been, it's so great. It's great. It's a great space. It's got super good energy. It's really fun to be here. People love coming. It's really a destination. It's so gorgeous. I hate to be a big braggart, but honestly, it is not anything like you've ever seen a salon be. When people walk in, they are gobsmacked. They're like,
Well, you're gonna have to send me photos now
"Hey,
in the so I can include them with the show notes.
okay."
Something I gathered about this building is that it's a multi-use commercial space. Like, you are not the only tenant. Is that correct?
Right. So I carved out part of the space to lease to someone else that would help offset the cost of running the building. So I initially rented it to a small business who was selling washable rugs, and he had beautiful stuff, but sadly it just didn't take off. And then, it just didn't work out for him. So he unfortunately had to close up, but we were fortunate that we got the space rented pretty much right away. It was empty from the middle of October, and the new tenants took possession on the 1st of January. So it went pretty quickly. And this company is a real estate management company, and they've been in the area for 9 years, and they just wanted a space that had a little bit more visibility, and our location is excellent, and so that really fit the bill for them too. So it's a good relationship there. It's a nice business to have next to the salon because there's not a lot of noise involved. There's no like smells. It's not a high traffic sort of situation. So it works out really well for both of us.
Yeah, so there's some really interesting stuff going on here, like from a business ownership perspective. Like, let's take a step back to Shay Mo. Let's time travel.
Okay.
We're going back to Pennsylvania. So that was your first salon business, all right?
Yeah,
And I want to follow this spectrum all the way up to, your current like dream salon that you're in right now in this, that you own the building and there's like, you've got tenants. So that's another business, you're a landlord too. Like
crazy.
we can talk about that. But going back to your first salon, did you own that building?
No, no, I never owned any of the buildings that I had when I was up in Pennsylvania. Just the opportunity just didn't come along for the spaces that I was at. They didn't ever come up for sale. So,
And Shamo was located was it in Bethlehem or was that an Easton address?
so it was in Bethlehem Township. So in between Bethlehem proper and Easton, along the Easton Avenue corridor, originally we were in Willow Park on Willow Park Road. in a little shopping center, and then a bigger space came available at some point, and we relocated, and really it was basically real like just around the corner, and it was a much bigger space, so we moved the business over there, and I was there until I sold that.
So, walk me through it. You got the idea, you explained, you wanted to be self-employed, something creative that gave you the lifestyle you wanted. And so you went to beauty school. You got certified to be a hairstylist.
Mhm.
And did you do any other peripheral services, by the way? Because I know that like you get trained and licensed for different things like skincare and things
Oh,
like
sure.
that.
Yeah, yeah, I'm licensed to do all aesthetic services, makeup, facials, waxing, microdermabrasions, chemical peels. I mean, you can do nails, although we don't do nails, and I don't do nails, but yeah, all hair services, wedding hair, extensions, chemical straightening, permanent waves. I mean, just all of the things.
Permanent waves.
Permanent waves.
Josh has a song called Permanent Wave. It's a thing. I'll have to tell you.
Oh, you need to send that to me.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll put it
So,
on your playlist.
yes. Yeah, add it to your salon playlist. So like when you first started out though, like cuz I know there's all these peripheral services, like what were you were just you focused on hair, correct?
Yes, when I initially opened my first tiny little salon, yeah, it was mostly hair, although I did do nails at that time as well, but I didn't have a private space to do facials, so I didn't do facials there.
And so like did you go straight from school to having your own salon or did you work in somebody else's salon?
So I worked as an assistant, I would say, at a very busy salon on the west end of Allentown while I was in beauty school, and I really learned a lot from those ladies. They were very talented hairdressers. It was a very busy salon, so I got to see like what's the reality of being in the salon industry on the floor in a working business, which clearly is different than being in beauty school. Just like any school you go to, when you get out into the field, it's a little bit different than the concepts. So I learned a lot there, and I knew pretty much from the start that I would have my own business. Once I graduated, I did work very briefly at a chain that gave me a little bit of experience, and then I was on the quest to find the perfect space, and I found it. Up the perfect space for me at the time. It was a very little salon. It was already in existence. The lady who owned it was semi-retiring, and she had built a salon in her house, and the price was right, and I bought it. And so it was really a turnkey operation, and I can tell you that from the first month that I bought it, I always made enough money to pay the bills and take care of my kids and, live my life.
So so while you were doing all this, your mother?
Yes. Yeah, I actually had my son when I was in beauty school. I already had my daughter, and so that was the other reason why I needed something that was realistic for me to accomplish, and I couldn't. I've got a little daughter. I can't very well be like, "I'm going to Penn State. Bye. Bye, y'all. See you after." So, and then, I had my son, and I mean, right when I first bought my salon, like, there were many days when I had to bring my baby boy with me, and, he's in a playpen in the salon, and, like, the old ladies that would come in for the roller sets, they're, like, passing the baby around, and it was so fun, and especially I was in, like, an older timey neighborhood, where it was really the people that live there. Now I live in a tourist destination, so plenty of influx of a whole bunch of different people coming through. But there, it was really, a little township, and just had such a great time with the ladies. And you know me, so I'm a real bugger, and I love
Stick in the
to
mud. You're definitely a stick in the mud. Just so,
like, I would torture them
stuffy.
all. And they'd come in and be like, "Yo, Myrtle, those towels aren't gonna fold themselves. Who's gonna change the baby? I gotta do Rose's roller set. Come on, girls, let's rally. It takes a village. Come on." And I mean, everybody was just it was really fun. A lot, obviously, it's hard, and you never know, especially when first starting out, and that's true to this day. You never know how much money you're gonna make. So, you know what I mean? It's scary, and I remember plenty of times where I was like, "If I don't make $300 by Friday, like, I'm screwed." So, but, it always worked out.
Well, there is like a philosophy of, that being hungry forces you to go get the food, like it lights a fire under you, it like forces you to be more energized to go make it. So anyway, I want to ask you about buying this business. Okay. So your first salon, you actually like bought a business from somebody?
Yes.
Okay.
However, I really just bought the space. I bought the equipment, and it was located inside of a building, and I took over the lease, or I got a new lease, but she left her equipment and some supplies and so on there, but she wasn't really willing to, like, sell me her client list because she didn't know me, and really, at the end of the day, like, you can't really obviously buy people. You can buy information about people and say, like, "Hey, I'm the new hairdresser at your old spot. I'd love to do your hair." But she just didn't feel comfortable doing that. So I really started from like nothing. I had some friends. I had, of course, my family. Can't make any money off of them people. But a few people that had gone there, that were used to going there, that she wasn't gonna take with her, did come in and see me, and I walked around the neighborhood handing out flyers, and that's how I got my first round of customers.
So you said she had built a salon in her home and
Yeah,
was semi-retiring or just
yeah.
downsizing, it sounds like. Okay.
Mhm,
All right, that makes sense. And so this was your own salon though. This was called Chez Mo,
mhm.
and were you the only hairdresser there?
I worked by myself initially, yep, probably about 9 or 10 months. I really don't remember specifically. But then I did start looking for more people. I had 3 chairs in that salon, so I had room for 3 people. It was very tiny little space, but it was very well appointed, and the location was good, and it had a very nice and comfortable feeling. It felt very homey, and it had pretty picture windows in the front, so a lot of natural light came in, and it was in a little shopping center. And again, because it was in this tiny little township, a couple doors down was Goosey Gander, the deli, and, people flocked there, and so there was plenty of traffic coming in and out, and it just worked. Yeah,
So you feel like you were in a good location and there was potential for a bit of growth there.
absolutely.
Within the first year, you were looking for other stylists to employ. I mean, how does that work? Like, what are the percentages there? If somebody is, I don't want to have my own business, I just want to work out of your salon. How does that work?
It's different in different states. In Pennsylvania, you either own a salon or you work for a salon. So you would be my employee, and either you pay somebody hourly plus a commission, which is generally stacked in the owner's favor, and that's how many chain salons operate. I don't really fancy that business model, so I always did a straight percentage, which again can be a little bit scary, but when I would hire people, especially when I got a little bit more established, when I would hire, say, I'd hire you, but you were just really starting out and you maybe had a handful of clients, but not many. So I would offer you an hourly wage. And I would say, okay, you're going to choose your hours. You're going to be here, 20 hours a week or 40 hours a week, whatever. I'm going to pay you this much money every hour that you're here. At the end of the week, if your commission, which I generally pay 50% commission. If your commission is greater than your hourly wage, then I'll pay you commission. And we'll keep doing that until it's clear that, you're always going to be on commission. Then we'll just scrap that hourly wage and you'll just go straight commission. Makes it a little less scary for people because, again, you just never know how much money you're going to make.
Right. And I guess you would have the benefit of knowing if your employees are booked or not, right? Like you as the owner can put your energy into making sure that they're booked. Like unless you're a place that does walk-ins and you're just paying people to be there during that duration, right? Like
Yeah, but I mean, ideally, like, the way to make money doing hair is to be a commission employee because you that's just the way it is. Here in South Carolina, it's a lot different. You either work for the salon or you can booth rent, and that is something I really was not familiar with at all, and I do not like that business model for a whole bunch of reasons, but the number one reason is I feel that the quality control is just not there because, say, you're buying your own supplies, you have dime store, developer, and color, and I'm using the best of the best, but we all get our hair done at Ocean's Edge, and it's
yeah, I could see how that could be a problem.
one of the, things that is really beneficial to business ownership in South Carolina, especially, like, in this sort of industry, in the hair industry, is that you don't have to actually employ people. They can be 1099 subcontractors, so they're not my employees per se. It's kind of wishy-washy, you know what I mean?
Well,
But
I honestly was wondering if they were independent contractors.
here
Be
they are independent contractors. Now, I could set it up so that they're my employees, and there are salons that have employees, and then one of the greatest benefits is that I don't have to withhold taxes. So,
right,
like,
or
I don't
pay
have to
payroll taxes
payroll
too,
tax,
like
I don't have to do Social Security, I don't have to do any of those things, so that makes it so much more affordable as far as that area of, like, the business goes.
hmm,
But you also
okay.
give up a little bit of control too, because so if you're an independent contractor and I really want you to stay until 5 o'clock, but if you don't wanna stay until 5 o'clock, and I'm there with no hairdresser to take the people that are calling in, that's like it's like, meh. But, again, the people who are here and they wanna build their business, they know, like, you're not gonna build your business if you're not in the building. If you're not here to take the people who wanna get their hair done, then you lose.
So that's an interesting phrase, like build their business. Like each individual stylist. Am I using the right term by the way? Is it
Yeah.
hairdresser, stylist? What okay.
Yeah,
So
stylist, cosmetologist, beautician,
beautician. There we go.
but,
That'll be
I
my
mean,
synonym.
yeah, stylist,
It
that's
works.
yeah.
Okay. So um each individual is responsible to some degree for growing their own business. Like tell me more about that.
Well, that's definitely the case when you're a booth renting stylist because you really are on your own. This is a situation, it's almost like a hybrid. So I've got an amazing support staff. I have a front desk that answers phones. I have social media presence, marketing. So I'm advertising the salon. I'm helping build up the hairdressers. So I don't expect them to just completely do it on their own, but certainly we hope that when you're out and about and you're talking to people, you're like, "Oh, I'm a hairdresser. Like, oh, you should come and see me. I work at Ocean's Edge. Like, here's my card, or I can schedule you." We have an app on our phone, so we can book people live right from our phone while we're out and about on the town, which is also great. And so we also have people back of house assisting, helping do shampoos, washing the towels, doing the ordering, making sure you have all of your supplies. Because when you're in a booth renting situation, many of those things are just on you. So you're answering your phone trying to make appointments. Whereas like I'm gathering people from out there and I'm giving you appointments. I'm giving you clients. I'm not taking clients for myself. I'm helping build up other people.
Okay, so do you do hair anymore or are you strictly in the business owner's seat now?
I still do I still do hair because like I still love doing hair. I mean, I literally love doing it. I love touching people. I love like
Ooh.
not in a weird way. Don't touch me there.
Reenie likes to
Um,
touch people. That'll be the teaser clip for this this
yes.
episode. I
But we
like
know
to
patty
touch
fingers, if you
people.
please.
Okay, so you must like touching people.
So I do. So I still do hair, and I've been really talking to myself for the last couple of years and recognizing that I really do need to step away from the chair. A I need to step away from the chair somewhat. I don't wanna completely stop doing hair, and I think that I've said it to the universe enough times, I really need to step away from the chair a little bit. The universe is really helping me step away from the chair. I've been seeing, like, shifts in my schedule, and so when I see that I have some time open, I go ahead and block it out, and when I search that back and say, "Oh, I took off for 2 weeks, and so 6 weeks ago, I would have been hosting those people, so now they've been displaced, so now those 2 weeks are very slow for me." Now, if I just kept those weeks open, I'd fill them up eventually, but I've been trying to not do that, so that's been a little bit helpful and giving me a little bit more time to really concentrate on the other parts of the business, of running the business instead of working it, which I hear all the time. Like, if you're so busy working, you don't have time to run your business. You're doing yourself and the people who work with you a disservice. So I've been trying to keep that in my head too.
And now a word from our sponsors.
Delicious elderberry wine, fresh and healthy elderberry syrup, crisp ciders, all available 7 days a week at Wild Elder Wine and Cider Company, 76 Broadway in Jim Thorpe, specializing in regional folk wines and ciders just like your grandparents used to make. Elderberry, blueberry, raspberry, blackberry, apple. Now serving lunch too. That's Wild Elder Wine and Cider Company, 76 Broadway in Jim Thorpe. Open every day 11 till 5. Also available online at wildelder.com.
I have so many like fireworks going off right now in my brain. The things that you're saying, like one, like first of all, as an entrepreneur who just worked and worked and worked all the time, like coming upon that discovery of blocking out time in advance was like game changing. And I put myself on this cycle annually where, somewhere around in January, I look ahead in my schedule and I'm like, all right, I'm going to start blocking out the things, the time that it's going to take to achieve my goals, to have some, time for vacation or rest and I even like, I block out like making dinner, for instance, because one of my goals is eating better, right? And if you don't set
Yeah.
aside the time to actually make your meal, like you're going to keep running into the problem of not having enough time to cook, and then you're eating more fast and junk food. And anyway,
Mhm.
so like just going in and blocking out time that is going to help you meet your goals personally, for the business, like working on the business versus in the business, blocking out the time for when you got to do the payroll, actually doing the marketing, or checking your bank statements, like my least favorite thing to do, but but this
Right?
stuff's important, right?
Yes.
Um and there's this author, he's pretty famous. He wrote a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad. His name's Robert Kiyosaki. Are you familiar with him by any chance?
No, I'm not.
Well, his first book gets all the buzz. It's got such a cool name, right? Rich Dad Poor Dad. But his second book is fascinating too. And it's about like he divides people into these different quadrants where most people are in sort of the employee mindset. Like they don't see themselves as entrepreneurs. Like they would prefer a situation where they're working for somebody else and they don't have to worry about, the uncertainty that comes with working for yourself. Okay.
Mhm.
And on the next corner of the quadrant are the self-employed. And so this is where a lot of people consider themselves a small business owner, but really they've created a job for themselves, okay, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of artisans, for instance, that can comfortably live there, like they do the thing. They don't want anybody else to do the thing. And, it's their specialty. It's what they're focused on, right? But then there's this other quadrant, it's business owner, and then the other one's investor. So spoiler alert, we're not going to talk about the investors. But moving from self-employed to an actual business owner is a leap that a lot of people from that quadrant that are self-employed will never take, because it requires you to figure out how to own a system and to be responsible for employing other people. And you made that leap, Rainey. And you knew you were going to, it sounds like. But
Mhm.
what are your thoughts? How did that work for you? How difficult was it to transition from being responsible for yourself as a salon owner to being responsible for employing other people and actually owning a business that can operate without you?
Well, I mean, I think that the business could operate without me to a certain extent, but I still need to be here and I still need to have my hands on the pulse of what's going on. And that may just be, because I love the baby so much that, you know what I mean? Like, I will hold the baby. You will hurt the baby. Stop mauling my baby. I'm not really a super control freak, but I do have certain standards that I need to be living my life by, and if I see those like starting to slip away, it's like, no, ma'am, no, ma'am." It wasn't hard really per se when I needed those people, and because that was where I was at. I had a need. I needed somebody else to help me. I needed people to come in and do more hair. I couldn't do all these people. I was turning people away. So that felt really good to find the people and finding the right people, certainly. And it always made me feel very happy, especially because there's so many women in this industry. And I feel like a sense of duty and also a sense of, like, joy when I could look around and say, "Hey, like, that girl right there has a really good paying job or a really good paying career, and she's financially secure. She can live her best life. She can provide for her children. She can buy that new car. She can go on a trip." And it's because I've created this place where people can earn money. And it's important. It's not all about money, but it certainly helps. So, in that respect, I enjoy that. What I don't enjoy is managing people. I really don't like it. I
So let's go back and take a look at like the early days of your first hires. You said getting the right people in place. Like, how did it go when you started to invite other stylists into your salon?
I had several stylists who were just absolutely magnificent. And due to life circumstances, moving, or one woman in particular, I just loved her so much. She ended up having a terrible back problem, and she ended up having to have, like, all these surgeries, and she just couldn't physically do the job anymore, and it still makes me wanna cry when I think about her because she was just such a great hairdresser and such a dynamic person, and it just was lousy to see her go in that, you know, to just be suffering. I've also hired people that I thought were great, and they really turned into a total dud, and, some things just can't be taught, like, honestly.
Yeah, so like what do you look for, when you're hiring a stylist?
I look for some kind of experience, whether that, be in just in their schooling. You can really tell, how passionate a person is about doing hair when you get to talk to them. I really enjoy working with people who are, intelligent, obviously, and definitely you have to be self-motivated and really be ready to take your part. You can't just sit around and be like, "I don't have anybody, like, when am I gonna," you gotta get out there and talk to everybody and tell them, "I'm a hairdresser. I work at Ocean's Edge. You should come and see me." And just I don't know, like, attention to detail. I enjoy attention to detail when people see what needs to be done and they just go ahead and do it, and I'm really not a hand holder, and so I really do like people who are very self-motivated and will just do what needs to be done. And then I don't have to be nitpicking at people because I hate that.
So, how does it work style wise? Like, I feel like every salon has a vibe, you know? How do you find the right person to fit your vibe, your salon's style, you know?
Well, this is where we've come to, is that we have such a tremendous reputation that the right people come to us. We have people quite often approaching us with either in-person visits or resumes who are interested in being a part of our team because we have a beautiful space, we have a wonderful reputation, and we have a great location.
It's probably evidence of like your brand, like just how strong it is, you know, as far as like your that's what you're saying, your reputation, you know, that there are people coming to you. And I guess maybe we got to time travel again back to like Reenie with the three-chair salon. How did
Yeah.
you find how did you find the right stylists for that opportunity?
I probably put an ad in the newspaper because we didn't have the internet then.
Al Gore hadn't invented it yet.
No, he was I don't know what he was up to. He might have been on the rowing team or something at that time. Yeah, eh, I think it's kind of it becomes like the stylists in general, like, you kind of have, like, almost this underground network, and you hear tell about, like, "Oh, that salon's super nice," or like, "Oh, the person who owns that salon is a real nightmare," or like, "That place is dirty," or, "That you don't get any new clients there, there's no walk-in, there's none of this." And so, just word on the street, you become familiar with the other salons in the area and what they're up to, and maybe that's how people sort of got on board. But just meeting people, every once in a while, I would go because I work by myself, I'd pick out a salon and just go there and get my hair done and just check it out and see what the vibe was like, and not necessarily walk in there and sit down in the chair and like, "Well, I'm a hairdresser," because
Try
sometimes
to
you're like,
poach people.
yeah, because, like, sometimes, like, when you're especially depending on your personality type, when someone sits down and they're saying, like, "I'm a hairdresser," now you're assuming they're gonna be micromanaging every move you make and judging you harshly every second. Me, I don't care. I'm like, "Oh, well, good. You can tell me exactly what you want then. No worries." And so, I met people doing that and just met people out and about. And then, of course, so say, my client would be in there and to be like, "Oh, my son's girlfriend is a hairdresser and she's looking for a job." Okay, cool. Send her in. Let's meet her. So, those are the ways you kind of grab.
Honestly, like getting out in person and networking is so important for local businesses, especially service based.
Mm,
Um, and that's been my experience too. And I don't, I think social media to an extent, supports that, but I don't think it's going to replace it. Like I still think like showing up in person and in places and making connections personally with people and telling them and hearing through word of mouth in a local business is key.
yeah, it's still the best advertising is when someone tells you, "I go here. I love them. They do the best job. You should go there too." And then,
Yep.
I mean,
Word of
that is
mouth.
still the way to go, without a doubt.
So you said within the first year you were looking to bring in other stylists. How long until you outgrew that three-chair salon?
Well, it was a very tiny little salon, and it really suited me at the time, and I probably wouldn't have even been looking to move anywhere else had this other space not just come available. And I went and looked at it. It was a salon. The person who was operating the salon was getting out of the business, and so there was a lot of stuff that was already built out. I mean, I had to redo the whole place, but still there was some plumbing, there was electricity, there was a floor plan. So it wasn't like building it from scratch. And I just took a chance. And then I could also expand my services because it was a much bigger space we built private rooms, so now we could do body waxing instead of just
Mm.
eyebrow waxing at the sink. We could do facials. We started doing body wraps, which was a whole nother thing, which was awesome and crazy and fun. But and I was nervous about moving to that bigger space. It was a much bigger commitment. It was a much bigger rent. I had to do a lot of work on it. That was going to cost money, even though it was very, very close to where we were. And I mean, it was probably a quarter of a mile from the road that I was on here, go to the corner, turn right, and here's the new salon. We still lost people. And I would run into people and they'd be like, I had no idea where you went. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Don't you drive down Easton Avenue? Are you crazy? But I just, I went for it. We made it happen and it was a great decision. And then that really opened things up because now I had room for 6, 8 hairdressers. And so, we really had the chance to build it. And at one point, this whole like salon jumped ship and wanted to come and work with me because I guess like original owner had sold and then the new owners like they didn't like it, they didn't like the setup, they didn't like the structure, they didn't like the people, whatever. So they just all like left this place and started working with me. So that was crazy. And my one dear, dear, dear friend that I love, my friend Linda, she started working with me very, very shortly after I went to that new space. And she worked with me for all those years. And then when I was ready to sell the salon, because I just felt like I needed a change when I talked to her about it, she decided she would buy it. And so she bought my salon from me. She still has it. She's still doing great. I went after I sold the salon to Linda, I left and I went and worked at American Hairlines in Bethlehem for several years. And then when I was planning my escape to South Carolina, I left American Airlines and I went back and worked with Linda for the last like year or so until I made my transition because I felt better about bringing my client base back to the little salon where we started out versus kind of just like throwing them to the four winds at a much bigger environment there. And that really worked out quite well. And working in a really like leaving my like I'm the big fish in the little pond and leaving that and going to work at American Airlines, which was like an extraordinary experience, a slew of super talented people in a world class destination
Oh,
salon and
yeah.
spa.
It's upscale. Let's just say that. It's
It
fancy.
Yeah, and it was such a fun experience, and it was scary. I mean, I was in charge of myself for all those years. I was used to doing, you know what I mean, like my way, what I want to do at all times. And there was still a lot of autonomy there. It wasn't, like they were like, you'll sit here till 4 o'clock. But I remember the first day I was standing there before the salon opened, and I had just brought all my stuff, and I was like, I was like, "Oh, what am I doing here? This is crazy." And one of the owners, Drew, came up to me and he said, "Reed, you okay?" I was like, "I don't know what I'm doing here. This is horrible. What am I doing?" He's like, "It'll be fine. You'll be fine." And it was fine. And it was great fun. And I met a lot of really amazing people and people that I'm still friends with today. And it was just fun being in that crazy. It was crazy there. Totally.
Yes, and it diversified your experience, it sounds like,
Yeah,
for you to have that, I think was, a professional horizon, that you were
totally.
crossing. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Learned
It
so many techniques from, watching other people do what they do. You really can pick up a lot of knowledge.
So when you sold your business, so you bought a business, right? The little three-chair salon,
Mhm.
and then when you moved to the other place, it sounds like, your capacity probably, I mean, the chairs doubled, but, you had those peripheral services too, so, your business potential might have tripled, right?
It definitely, yeah, definitely went up for
How
sure.
how many staff members did you have at that point? Just
There were probably maybe like 8 of us, 9, 10, with a couple extra people that maybe came in to help answer the phones or, help. keep the back of the house running, but mostly, yeah, it was the hairdressers.
And then, like, American Hairlines maybe has
Oh, geez. You couldn't get the people to stand still long enough to count them all. I mean, there were so many people there.
2
I mean,
dozen, like, let's say, like,
there were probably 50 people that worked there. I
50.
mean,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
I don't
Safe
even know how
assumption.
many chairs there were. I mean, there were a bunch of chairs, and then you not everybody even had their own chair. So if I worked on Wednesday afternoons, I would go to this chair. Meanwhile, somebody else thought they were going to have the chair. There was a lot of chaos, but it was always like you rolled with it. It
Yeah.
was good times.
It was like moving to the big city.
Yeah. Yeah, really. Yeah.
And and then where you're at now, at Ocean's Edge, I mean, roughly how many staff people are there?
So we have 10 hairdressers, we have 2 massage therapists, and we have 3 people who also work front of house and back of house.
Cool.
So assisting, doing shampoos, sweeping hair, making sure the laundry's going, just keeping us on track, and then our front desk, of course, fielding all the phone calls, answering questions, selling products up there, checking people in, checking people out, and all of the stuff that goes along with that.
That's awesome that you have a business model that allows people to specialize, allowing the hairdresser to do what makes them the most money, not spending their time shampooing and scheduling.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. And that's one of the benefits that Ocean's Edge offers, versus a booth rent, because people say like, "Well, why am I going to basically like give you 50% of what I'm earning?" Because I'm supplying the space, I'm supplying the support team, the products, sundries, the foils, and just all that stuff. So all of that runs into a lot of money. But the biggest part is having the support, because I can't tell you how many people we have in our salon as our clients, and I'd say, how did you find us? It's like, well, I called 5 other places, but no one answers the phone.
Mhm.
Or I showed up and no one was there. And so we don't have that problem, clearly. And that was one of the things, honestly, when I first started working at Ocean's Edge, when I first moved here, and it used to make me crazy because we didn't have a designated constant person at the front desk. And so I would be back at my chair working, and I'd hear this phone ringing and ringing and ringing.
When before you bought it. I got
Yeah, I
you.
mean, like, you know, I
Mhm.
I'm thinking like, "Hey, guess what? Like,
That's money on
there's
the line.
there's someone knocking on the door,
Yeah,
and they have
yeah.
money in their hands, and they wanna
Uh-huh.
give it to us. Open the
Yeah.
door. Open it."
Yeah, honestly, so I got I'm aware of a salon that's like that, and I got the impression that the reason that they don't employ somebody there all the time is that they're at capacity, because when they call you back to book, like, it's so far out, I mean, that's just the image they're projecting, is like, we're too busy to even answer the phone, like, even if we had someone to answer the phone, we couldn't get you in anyway for a long time, which isn't a good situation
Oh,
either. Like, I don't know. So it's interesting to have, a human being on the other line. The power of that, is to help with customer retention. It
absolutely.
seems like it's key.
Because what if I have a question, or if I wanna ask you if you carry this particular shampoo that I wanna buy, that really has nothing to do with an appointment. I just wanna purchase something from you. And who was it? I think it was Yogi Berra who said, "It's so crowded there, nobody goes there anymore."
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Is that what you wanna "Oh, I'm too busy for you.
Yeah.
Too busy, too busy. Hairdresser on fire, too busy for you." That,
Yeah.
mm, may not be the best message to send out.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, if you could do anything differently, like if you were starting out today again, which you kind of did actually just like 5 years ago, right? 6, 7 years ago.
7 years.
7
Well,
years.
11 years ago, I moved here. And then in 2017, that's when I bought the business.
And like all of your salons started with you buying a business from somebody. Now, the first one, you didn't get a client list. The second one, you didn't actually buy the business. You just leased a new space. Well, you did
Mhm.
buy a business. It was a salon closing, right? Like the lady was retiring,
Yeah,
you said?
but it was really pretty much defunct by the time I got over there. So it wasn't like I was buying a hustling, bustling salon. It was just moving into a new space.
And then in South Carolina, when you bought that
Yeah.
business, did that come with a clientele?
Yes, that was an operational salon with, already a staff of hairdressers, me included. And so, yeah, we definitely had a client base. And I saw the opportunity. I mean, it it was not like anywhere near capacity. It was, just because of the support staff situation, etc. I mean, I could see the writing on the wall. It's like this thing could explode.
Okay. Well, I feel like we should definitely spend some time talking about how you grew that business then, because that's very different than growing a business in the 90s and handing out flyers. Or did you still do that? I don't know. Like, I'd be curious to know what the similarities are too.
I don't think I ever handed out flyers. I don't think so. I think definitely social media was key to promoting, building. When I first moved down here, I had a client who happened to sit in my chair, and she was wonderful, very business oriented, very generous person, and she went on to Yelp and she gave me a review. And I can't tell, that was how I started getting my first round of customers in South Carolina, because of that one woman went on and gave me a really nice review on Yelp. And then I had people coming in and I said, "Oh, you heard about me on Yelp?" And they said, "No, we heard about you on TripAdvisor." And I was like, "What? Like I'm a destination now? Like that's pretty cool." Like, "Whoa, all right." That's like initially, word of mouth. But the other thing is just being there, having regular hours and answering the phone and making sure that, we had people to take care of the people who wanted to come to us. That was really key to building the business. And as I said, the lady who owned it originally, she had a plan, but her exit strategy didn't work, and so she was really over it. Like she just wanted out. And so, you gotta, if your heart's not in it, it's hard to do something.
Yeah, I agree. If you and something I joke is if it's not fun, why do it? Yeah, I feel like if you don't still have passion and feel excited about it, why do it?
Yeah, because it's too hard. It's too
Hmm.
hard to do all this if you're not enjoying it. I mean, that's kind of just, we always are looking for good people to join our team. It's awesome when you find somebody who wants to join your team that already has some clientele. That's awesome. It doesn't often happen, but that's a great way to, build your revenue. Now that we're in our new space, we have so much more room so we can offer more services. I've really been working on building up our spa side. That still has some room for growth, but we've been super fortunate. Never been like a super numbers person, but consistently year after year, the increase in the total revenue that the salon is generating it's staggering. It's really mind-boggling how much it's grown since 2017 to 2024. Even some people that I talk to about numbers, and they say, like, initially, especially the first couple of years, they said this growth is not sustainable. You can't grow like this. It's just it's never gonna it's gonna die out. You can't there's nowhere to grow. You can't do it. I was like, all right, well, we'll see. But consistently year after year, the growth has been really substantial. And I sometimes I'm like, who am I? Like, what?
Yeah, what you must be doing something right.
And now a word from our sponsors.
Live from downtown Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania, Wine, Cider, and Song, brought to you by Wild Elder Wine and Cider Company.
Old Wild Elder came down from the mountain, said the secret of youth ain't found in no fountain. If you want to feel spry, we pass the age of 99. You gotta have a daily chug of Wild Elderberry wine. Gotta drink it dry, elderberry wine. You gotta drink it dry, Wild elderberry wine. You gotta drink it dry, elderberry wine. It'll probably cure what ails you.
Let's talk a little bit more about this growth. Like, you bought this business 7 years ago. How much growth are we talking about?
So over the course of 7 years, I have grown the business tenfold.
Wow. Like
Yeah.
like, if you bought, like, a $50,000 business, it's now up over 500,000. If you bought a $100,000 business, it's up over $1,000,000. Like, that's huge
Yes.
growth. That's like exponential growth. I think that's literally like an exponent, right?
I
Exponential growth.
I was told there was no math involved, so I had no idea, but I know my brother loves numbers, and so sometimes I'll talk to my brother, and he'll be like, "Send me the numbers, Reed," like, "Yeah," blah, blah." And all of a sudden he's like, "You grew like 27%, like, like you can't do that. Like, that's impossible to sustain." And so like the next year he'd be like, "Reed, you grew 32%." Like, wow, like it's just and it's all kind of like just what can we do? What how far can we go? I'll say to the girls, like, all right, we got to this number last year. Let's break that. Let's get to the next, 100,000 mark or whatever. And it's just super fun. I've never really been motivated by money. I've been motivated by experiences and creating. So when money comes along with it, it's super awesome. And I'm not going to say I don't love money. I do love money. And I don't feel bad about saying that anymore. I'm not a greedy person, but money does make things a lot easier, and it's way better to not be like biting your nails hoping that you can make $300 by Friday. You know what I mean? Which is many times when I first started out, I had that feeling of like my rent is due. I don't have enough money. I need to make this much money. I always managed to do it, but a little bit of ease, especially as you get older, it does feel very, very nice. Now, I will say I've never been in this much debt in my entire life, but it's good debt. It's not nonsense.
Right. It's
But
it's an investment. That building is
mm,
probably what you're referring to, right? It's paying for itself because you would have to pay rent to operate someplace else. So that is money that you are putting back in your own pocket. And then you've got that diversity of income from a tenant, that's helping pay for it too. And
yeah.
like, and you can
Mhm.
know, like, and someday, if you sell the business, you can still own the building and it's passive income.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Um,
money is our friend, and we can easily say out loud, we love money and we want money to come to us and be our friend, because like I saw this thing online or whatever, and this lady was saying, if you are just saying like, oh, I hate money, and like money, it's like the root of all evil, and this is bad, like, so then if you're talking about like your friend, and I'm talking about Amber, and I was like, I love Amber. Amber's a doll. Like, Amber's so fun. I love being with Amber. But money, or you, I'd be like, oh, Amber. Oh, I don't like Amber. Amber, like makes me feel creepy. Like, I don't want to say I love Amber. That's weird. That makes me look shallow, whatever. So I think that a lot of people do let that feeling about money get in their way. And like, what's wrong with like wanting to be rewarded for your hard work and just send it? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Send it.
absolutely. The
Send the good
law of
vibrations, send the success, send the ease, send the abundance.
you deserve it. Hey, so while we're under the hood with the finance stuff, I mean, you were talking a bit about products, and I was curious about like what percentage of like the overall revenue pie does products represent for you? Because you seem kind of excited about them.
So I would love to be at a place where we are selling like 18%, like so that anybody who comes into the salon, that like 18% of people are buying products, or even like 25%. That would be amazing. I think that right now, like last year, we were maybe at like 8%, 10%. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but there's a bunch of reasons for the sale of products helps support the bottom line at the salon. It helps to provide for advertising and keep our supplies at the nice quality, etc. But it also translates into customer loyalty. And I didn't know about the science, but it's pretty interesting. So the average lifespan of a client, like with like if you start coming to me, the more products that you purchase from me extends the lifetime of the relationship that you will have with me. And so if you buy one product from me once in a while, you're probably going to stick with me for like a year or two. Once you get up to like 3, 4 products, you're most likely going to be my client for at least 8 years. That's a and probably longer, as long as you don't get sick of me, you don't move, you know what I mean? Like sometimes you just reach the end. And I'm
Right.
not
Yeah.
really digging doing your hair anymore, and you don't really feel like there's a fire going for you with what I'm doing, and sometimes you just need a change. And so, that's a thing. But 85% of people will purchase a product for their hair within 48 hours of getting any hair service done.
Oh,
85%.
so you may as well be the one first in line to offer it to them. You're the expert, right? Like it makes sense.
Exactly. And when I talk to the girls about it, and they're like, I just feel weird. Like, I don't want to, I'm not really a good salesperson.
Salesy.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. Well, you are doing your client a disservice,
Mm-hmm.
because is the girl at CVS going to give them as good of advice as you can give them? Are you making sure that the $200 or $300 investment that they just made in their hair, and they're walking out without what they need to take care of it? Shame on you. Don't decide how your client is going to spend their money. You
Mm-hmm.
tell them, this is what I used on you today. This is going to be great for your hair. You want to make sure your color looks as good as it does right now. 8 weeks from now, take this home with you. If they say no, okay. But
That's
then
nope.
8 weeks from now, when they come back and they're like, my hair, look, it's all yellow and like it looks brassy. Okay, what are you using on it? Oh, Dove dishwashing liquid. Okay, well, that's garbage. Like, no. I'm not here to shampoo shame people, but come on.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So,
It makes
that's
sense. And
encourage.
And that whole revenue pie, you have this whole spa wing. So, what percentage of your overall revenue do you think is spa related, like versus hair? And I'm counting like facials and waxing in with the spa, right? So
Yeah,
there's
so like massage and facials and waxing. I'm gonna say, and I don't know the number, I really don't. I've been working on reports, but I don't have them all compiled yet. I'm gonna say that maybe 15 to 20% is spa.
so it's like 65% is hair. What do you think?
I
Does that
mean,
number feel right?
absolute, probably more than that. Probably more, like probably 80%. I'd say 20, 80. But that's one of the things that I'm working on building, because we
Right.
have this beautiful spa, and this spa should be booming. We have 4 private spa rooms plus a freestanding building in like a little courtyard that we have, where we can do other private services. And that's what I'm gonna focus on because we're going gangbusters with all of our hair services, and so we've been here for over 2 years, but at our old space, we didn't offer as many services because we didn't have the space to do it, and then after COVID times, I never even went back to offering massage therapy, so I just threw that on the back burner, but now, we're gangbusters over here with we have 2 great massage therapists, we have beautiful rooms to get your massages in. So we need to keep on finding those people who want to have those luxury services, that want that special self-care experience on the reg, not just once every, 6 months or when they come for their 1 week of vacation.
Yeah, I think that's a common challenge is like getting the client to book. With hair, it's probably a little easier because, you know,
Yeah, it's a
yeah.
necessity. I mean, really,
Hmm.
depending on a necessary luxury maybe would be a better way to put it because, depending on what you're trying to accomplish in your life, professionally, personally, just, for your own satisfaction of how you look, you don't want to be walking around with like your hair all jacked up. So, but you could walk around with your back breaking and all jacked up and just like be the martyr of the century and not get a massage because like it's too, you just don't want to do it. But we're
Yeah.
working on it.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks. What marketing do you do?
We've done a lot of Facebook marketing, and I was doing a lot of that and just capturing pictures and putting up things. And I love comedy, and I like to be funny and whatever. So lots of stuff I would put up would be amusing or kind of clever and funny, and that helped grow our audience. And would occasionally, boost our posts with advertising on Facebook, and then kind of got a little bit more savvy with Instagram, not very much savvy because it's really not my area. But I did a decent job of building our audience. And then last year, I realized that I'd taken us as far as I really can go. It's not where I shine, it's not what I really want to spend my time doing. So I hired a firm to take care of our social media marketing. That started in, I guess, September of 2024, and so we're still seeing how that's gonna long term roll out and see if that works out for us, if that helps, continue to build our business, and it's fun to work with those guys. They come in and film us doing, like, silly nonsense, and which I love, and, keep us going, and, like, we're sort of integrating some more systems into our front of house computer system where we can get in touch with people easier. We're gonna do email blasts with things that we're promoting, specials. We have a Botox event coming up
Yeah,
next week.
let's talk about your promotions, right? So that's a type of marketing, right, where you're marketing to your existing clients. You do email marketing besides the social media?
We really just started getting more involved in that. We were doing a monthly newsletter, which was kind of fun and, work. But now that we've got this slick team of social media wizards working for us, they're capturing all the information, they're funneling it into different algorithms, seeing where things need to be pushed, and doing email blasts and doing all this stuff. So a lot of it's still a work in progress, but we're really kind of getting there at this point with those guys.
So you had an e-newsletter during the years that you said you were growing. So I honestly, let's not talk about the fancy firm. I would like to know more about what you did on your own to achieve this growth from 2017 until 2024. So you said social media, you had Facebook posts mainly and some Instagram. Humor, right? You entertained people. And what was this newsletter? Was that an email newsletter?
Yeah, it was like MailChimp.
Okay. So
And
you were collecting email addresses. Do you know like how many people are on your list roughly?
okay, this is the bane of my existence because since the day I bought this business, I have been like hounding everybody who works with me, get the email address, and they don't do it.
Hmm.
And so I don't know how many email addresses I have, but it's become like paramount. And like every single person who walks through this door, I want their email address no matter what. And no
You
matter
know what?
what, you need
You
it.
know what? You know what I did? I was running into that at our wine shop. I was just observing that nobody else was asking for their emails, and like we would do it selectively. Not everybody who comes in and orders something, just the people who are like, "Wow, I love this. This is great." And I was like, "Hey, why don't you join our email list? We'll send you a coupon for a free drink the week of your birthday, and you'll find out about
Oh,
other specials or whatever. And they're always like, yeah, sign me up. But people just wouldn't ask. And so what I did was I created a pop up on our website. It's a delayed pop up, which is important because pop ups are stupid, right? You just want to close them right away when you're trying to find the thing. But after like 15 or 20 seconds of being on the website, it pops up, and it seems to be working to, I'm building the list more than I was just by
great.
leaving it up to our staff to remember to ask.
Yeah, and sometimes they're just busy and they forget or whatever.
Yeah.
But
And then
you
it was
know,
also cumbersome to like enter the email address, like because I had to turn the point of sale around and they're poking and hunting and pecking, and it
yeah.
was silly. So I was just wondering about your promotions because there's a local salon that I started going to that does like really cute promotions. Like they always have a drawing of some kind. I don't know. Can you tell me a little bit about like do you guys do any sort of specials or promotions?
We do, and now that we've been working with these, media guys, we've been doing a little bit more of it. So, especially at the holidays, we will sell a $100 gift card. Well, we'll give you a $120 gift card for $100. And this coming month, we're doing kind of like I've never done this before, or maybe I did 100 years ago, but we're going to do a promotion for new clients. So, a new cut and color client who comes in is going to take home a shampoo and a conditioner as our gift to them from a new line that we just brought in called Shibui, and that's a color centric line. So, we're going to send them home with that. And then, if you're just coming in for a haircut, we're going to send you home with the other new line that we just brought in called Allurem. And their claim to fame is that they've got a lot of coconut water in their mixture, and their stuff is really nice. And it's like the shampoo, it lathers up like really brilliantly, and it smells like coconuts, and like you're sitting on a
Very beachy.
yeah, like, give me my pina colada. Yes, I
Mhm.
can smell it from here. So we're gonna give that a whirl. And then I was talking to a couple of the girls and my daughter actually, and she said, "Well, what are you gonna do for your existing customers? Why are you gonna treat, people like strangers that you don't even know to all this, but your regular, loyal customers, what are you doing to
Right.
reward them?" So I was like, yeah, that's true. You know what I mean? I don't want people to feel like they've been left in the dirt. So we decided that what we would do is for any new client that any existing client refers to us, they'll get to capture that promotion prize as well. So that's how we're kind of doing it.
So, but this sounds like something new that you're doing. Is that right?
This is something new. Yeah, I've never or
Don't
recently
wanna
have been on it.
I don't wanna talk about the new things. Those are the
Right.
untested things. You are a
Right. Well,
rock
this is just
star.
this is just what I'm doing right now. I mean, other than that, we participate in community events. We donate to charities. We do raffle baskets. We give
But
away samples. But mainly what we do is we make you feel like you want to be with us because we take really good care of you and you're having the best time ever when you come for your appointment. We also have in the salon, which is another one of my dreams come true, is Salon Saloon. And I always said back in Pennsylvania, you have to have a liquor license to have a bar, whatever. And people say, "Well, what are you going to do next?" I said, "I'm saving up all my money. I'm going to get a liquor license and I'm going to call it Salon Saloon. We drink until you look good." And so when I was doing this build out, I literally built a bar in the salon, and it is called Salon Saloon. And on our t-shirts it says, "We drink until you look good." Okay, this is legit. This has come to fruition here. And so we serve complimentary wine and beer. We make mimosas. We'll have like events where I know we'll have somebody come in and do permanent jewelry or something, and we'll make sangria for that night, or we'll throw a margarita party on Cinco de Mayo, and just just try to be be welcoming and make people feel like they deserve to feel that they're here spending their hard-earned money, and we don't want it to feel like another obligation. We want it to be an experience that you look forward to, and that when you're arriving you feel great about it, and when you're leaving you especially feel great about it. And I think that's how we keep our client base, and that's how we expand our client base, because we're providing an experience that people really, really enjoy.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's what I was really curious about, and I think that was very important. So thanks for sharing that, Rini. And like I said, like I didn't mean to get down on your new marketing efforts, but whatever you were doing before was working great. And I think it sounds like it was a smart move, because it wasn't bringing you joy to do that personally anymore. And that's really important as a business owner to look at like what can I peel off, what can I outsource and get help with, so that I don't have to do that and I can focus more on the things that I actually want to do. So it's
Mhm.
great that you have this marketing firm helping you out with that stuff now, and I hope it works out well for you.
Yeah, we'll
Um,
see.
it's
Nothing
honestly,
ventured, you gotta try it and see what it is, and we don't see the return on the investment, then we'll cut it, and we'll figure out something else to do.
yeah, it sounds like you have to kind of give them a little leeway to do what they do best as professionals, see if it works for you. And if not, like, and you still don't want to do it yourself, you can find somebody who's just going to take directions from you. And you're the expert because you did it so well for 6 years,
Oh, thanks.
6, 7 years. Yeah. But I
Yep.
hope, maybe they'll expand, opportunities for you. So good luck with that. And yeah, I wanted to ask you just the closing questions.
Sure.
What if you could do anything differently? What would you do looking back? Do you have any advice for somebody getting started out, like in not only being a beautician but owning your own business?
What would I do differently? I I have no idea. I really, honestly, I don't. I mean,
How
I've
about
I've
advice? Advice. Give me advice. Lay it on me. I want to start a salon, Reenie. What should I do? What matters most?
just just do it. Just go for it. I mean, I looked around a lot when I was very new in the industry, when I was working for other people, and honestly, this is probably gonna sound, like, obnoxious, but I just had this feeling that's like, if these idiots can have a successful business, there is no reason that I can't. There is no reason, and I just went for it, and I just think manifesting, just telling yourself, "What is it that I wanna do? Where do I see myself? Can I really envision myself doing this, being successful? Is this gonna be fun for me?" Just go for it. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? They're not gonna put you in front of a firing squad. There's no
Yeah.
debtor's prison. It doesn't work out. Well, then you know what? You're like, "All right, well, I gave it a whirl. It didn't work out. What's next?" I mean,
And something we didn't touch on, like for your final business here that you're at Ocean's Edge, you did have to go to a bank. Well, that was just when you bought a new location or bought a building. But like, were you able to get like to self finance to get your first business off the ground?
my first little tiny three-person salon that you're talking about. So my parents co-signed a loan for me for $7,300. And that's how I bought the business. I think the business was like $4,300, and then I had $3,000 to buy my supplies. That was my initial investment, that because my parents were always so good to me, they helped me do it. And now, like, fast forward 100 years, yeah, certainly I had to get a loan to buy this building, but this building now is really my future, my retirement, is,
Yeah.
the investment that's gonna make sure that I can live decently, in my old age.
And that actually is my last question, was like, what are your plans for the future? And it sounds like you're already putting those in place.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I still love being here. I love doing hair. I love my clients. I love all of the clients that come in. It's super fun. I have such an amazing team of people. Like, it could make me, like, honestly, I could cry about how lucky I am. Like, these chicks that work here are stellar. They are amazing human beings. They are phenomenal hairdressers, and they're just really good friends. They're just good people, and we have the best time ever. Like, we cannot be controlled. Like, we all left town and went on a cruise with the whole salon. We shut the whole salon down and we went on a cruise for a week. And we had so much fun. If we throw a random party, we usually have parties here at the salon because it's such a great space and it's so fun that we don't have our Christmas party at another space. We just have it here. And like we're like a bunch of feral cats. Like we're wild when we get together and it's so fun. And that is one of the reasons why I enjoy coming to work every day. Just being with these characters and making people laugh and just having a grand old time to ourselves. It's awesome. And the clients really feel it when they come in. They know we're having a good time. They want to be a part of it.
That's it. Yeah, being a part of what you have going on, that whole experience.
Yeah.
It's so valuable. It's great. I love it. So and then, and you've created this brand. I know you don't want to go anywhere, but someday, you could sell it. It's not Shamo anymore.
Right. Yeah.
It's separate from your individual identity, and you've set everything up. It could be turnkey someday for somebody else.
Absolutely. Who knows? Maybe the inmates will take over the asylum when I'm ready to pack it in. But yeah, there's a lot of opportunity for the future for sure.
That's great. Well, congratulations, and thank you so much for sitting down and talk with me today. I say this every time, but I mean it. We just go over like I have so many more things. I'm like, oh, I should have asked her about that. Oh man, we could deep dive into that. And yeah, I really hope that um, you know, for people that are inspired to start their own salon, that I've asked the right questions. And if I haven't, I might be circling back and be like, hey, somebody
Yeah.
really wanted to know this, but
I
you
am
have a wealth of
so
knowledge.
open to it. I'd be more than happy to help anybody, navigate in any way, shape, or form that I can. And certainly I've helped launch many, many hairdressers into their own businesses. And people often will ask me, like, does that make you mad? Like, you did all this for her and then she left and opened up her own space. No, it does not. It makes me so happy that I had a hand in helping someone else realize what their dream was. And if that's their dream to own their own salon, like, why would I get in their way? Because luckily everybody has a head and most people have hair. So there's plenty of people to go around. So no one needs to be anybody's competition. We could just be comrades in the same field.
Nice. Yeah, that is such a great perspective to
Oh,
have.
and I just want to throw this in there because this is the other thing I've been doing, which is why I'm so busy and I have to like step away from the salon a little bit because I helped my son open another business.
Oh, I think I heard about this.
Yeah.
Is it like go-karts?
It's called Redline Simcade. It's simulated automobile racing on these rigs. It's like super high tech and it really feels like you're in the cockpit of a race car and you're just driving away and you pick your car and you pick your track. And the day after I did it for the first time, I was like, my shoulder murdering me. What is wrong with me? And then I realized it was from the steering wheel. Like I was like, ah!
You're in
So
it.
yeah. So, I'm working on other businesses has, gotten me a little bit more busy and a little bit like stepping away from here, but whatever. It's
That's
all
so cool. Yeah, I have kids too, and I hope someday to help them do something similar. Whatever their dream is. We it's something that we like kick around just for fun. We like if we're going for a walk or whatever. Like we just talk about building a business. How would you do that? And
yeah.
that's I mean, but maybe that's a very unique idea. And like you said, you're in a tourist town. People are looking for experiences. Like I
Yeah.
wish him well. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, so we're very hopeful that the new tourist season that's starting soon is going to really be like a pump up in the business and really get us off the ground because we're a brand new business, really not even open a year, so going to take some time to build it up, but we're ready.
Well, cool. Well, thanks for sharing that, and thanks for everything else, Rainey. And I hope to keep in touch and circle
Yeah,
back and find out about your next exciting thing. Maybe we'll be interviewing your son next.
that would be super. I thank you so much, Amber, for having me on. It's really been fun. I can't wait to see you again.
Likewise. All right. Have a good day, Rainey. Bye.
You too. Bye bye.
Launch Local is an original podcast produced and recorded by Amber Artemis at Leisure Lane Studio in Jim Thorpe, PA. Show music is by Joshua Fitzel. This is a video podcast available for viewing on YouTube or at the show website, launchlocal.biz, where you can subscribe to the show newsletter and find helpful tools like the Ready to Launch quiz. Take the quiz at launchlocal.biz to find out how I could help you launch your own local business.